Good afternoon, beloveds. I'm Melissa Miller, host of The Chosen Heroes. And as always, thank you so much for joining me on this Sunday afternoon. Apologize for the slight delay and kicking off the podcast, having a little bit of technical difficulties, but we're persevering and we're going to move on. We got some wonderful, exciting news to share today. We have done it. Yes. Oh my gosh, glory. Targeted justice made headlines yesterday. Just wonderful. The Gateway Pundit, one of the most read publications in Washington, D.C., published an article written by Jim Hoft, who is a very well-respected publicist and researcher. And the title is Targeted Justice Sounds Alarm on DHS-Funded Gang-Stalking Programs. An explosive letter to Secretary Noem. I've got some screenshots up on the screen of the article, and I urge you to search for it and read it in its entirety. It is a wonderful, I'm so excited about it that I want to frame it and put it on the wall. It's just such a victory, community. Can we get an amen and can we get a clap? Oh my goodness, victory, victory. I'm just so excited about this. I'll read you just a little bit from it. It says, Targeted Justice, a civil liberties organization representing victims of unlawful surveillance and harassment, has fired off a letter to Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem demanding an immediate end to what they call un-American and illegal programs funded by the agency. The letter, penned by Anna Toledo Esquire, counsel for Targeted Justice, accuses DHS of orchestrating a sprawling network of surveillance, harassment, and psychological operations through fusion centers, targeting innocent Americans under the guise of counterterrorism. The letter claims DHS is bankrolling a shadowy campaign against over 300,000 Americans wrongfully placed on the FBI's terrorist screening database. Citing Department of Justice Inspector General audits, Targeted Justice alleges 97% TSDB entries have no known ties to terrorism, branding the list a tool to silence whistleblowers, political activists, J6ers, and parents protesting at school boards. Groups she labels as enemies of the deep state. Oh my goodness, what an amazing feat for us, and which leads right in digital warriors. And this is why we have to use our voice. Our voice is our most powerful weapon. The pen and the voice, writing those letters and just getting this truth out there to conquer this darkness. So again, just keep on fanning the flames of awareness on X, Facebook, Truth Social, TikTok, Instagram, Telegram, all the social outlets. And because we are making a difference, and keep going. I mean, just so amazing. And if you're interested in joining the Digital Warrior campaign and partnering with us for our community, then write tjustice2 at proton.me. And always tag Anna Toledo, tag Richard Loudhouse, tag Dr. Lynn Burr, tag The Chosen Heroes. We're just continuing to make great strides in this movement of truth and these atrocities that have been done against our lives and our bodies and our families. We are making a difference. We do this for the children. We do it for the future. We do this for the fallen. Amen. Yesterday, the Texas TI monthly meetup was at here in Houston, and I attended. Anna Toledo was there, Richard Lighthouse. We had community. One person drove all the way from California to Texas. His name was Miguel. Such a blessing to meet, our fellow TIs, and such great communion. So also you can obtain a copy of the live stream video. It is on Rumble. It is on Chosen Heroes posted, and it's on Targeted Justice as well, so that you can do the playback. There was some great information discussed yesterday, including a live demonstration of the Gauss meter that our fellow TI, Armando Del Toro, had, synthesized, because the FCC has kind of blanketed those frequencies over the last couple of years to make them less detectable, the criminals, I should say, so that they don't, scream out as easy as they used to. But you can see on the video the every second pulse. When they got to my head, it was going crazy. It was just making all kinds of noise. But, that's what, nothing is going to make me relent, because the truth must come out and must set us free. Targeted Justice has numerous FOIA requests filed at the FBI. Not a single one has been completed according to FOIA law. Attorney Michael Seidel is the FBI manager that's withholding this information and blocking its release. Targeted Justice has 3 active lawsuits, and we are not the only organization that has noticed that his corruption. The Gateway Pundit also published an article this past Monday exposing some of the corruption, titled "The Face of FBI Corruption." So I definitely go to their website and search for that article. It's great information. We can file complaints against Attorney Michael Seidel by going to the aig.justice.gov complaint and submit the complaint. Also, you can go to tips.fbi.gov, and then ic3.gov has a complaint outlet as well. And just as a reminder, Targeted Justice Rumble page now has dubbed many of its content into 7 different languages. Glory, for sharing, that and getting out to all of our international TIs. It's just amazing, amazing, amazing. So there's also an article too that there's a paper publication. It's up on the screen, that since 2016, there's been an increase in reported cases of intelligence officers and diplomats hearing pulsing sounds and experiencing cognitive symptoms that are manifesting into traumatic brain injury without inciting trauma. And these attacks exactly mirror what we go through every single day. So I urge you to go to the link that is published for PubMed and check out that article. And always, I'm continue to want to, state about Targeted Source LLC. He's experiencing some shadow banning on his website and trying to, prevent people from making contact and asking questions. So I wanted to put on the screen silentnight.source@gmail.com. Armando is the creator of the Silent Night and the SK Great Reset Zapper. I was able to demo that yesterday at the Texas TI meetup. It really does help. I'm excited to get mine. And then he also has Dr. Clark Zappers. So again, on the screen is the website and the email address, which it's been hard to find that. So again, part of the efforts of trying to shadow ban someone who's generally trying to make a difference to help the community. All right, so upcoming guest next Sunday, Valdemar, who is the VP for Latin America for Targeted Justice will be joining the Chosen Heroes. And on the 27th, Lindsay Penn, who is known as the host of Victory Through V2K and also the VP NPR and Communications for Targeted Justice. And on May 3rd, Gryphon Herchko, I hope I'm pronouncing his name right, he wonderfully articulates the the targeted experience. He's a journalist and researcher for the independent public interest and researcher journalist and dewagency.org. He just really can take difficult contact on this technology and harassment and articulate it in a very well plain spoken manner that is very digestible. So very excited to have him as a guest. And we have bi-weekly working sessions. I do a teleconference host with Jamie Rice. We had one yesterday. I will be publishing the video. It will be the second teleconference that we had, and it is for the targeted individual combat training. That is all about building that cryptographic mind, reprogramming the mind to be resilient to the tactics and agendas that this technology uses against us. If you're interested in volunteering for the Chosen Heroes, I would greatly appreciate those that are interested in helping me do research, create digital content, a tech support person, production manager. If you're interested, please reach out. Chosen Heroes is on a plethora of different social media outlets, and please engage and subscribe. We'll keep the momentum moving. All right, and quickly before we get to our very special guest, Doug Jones, who is the host of That Gangstalking Show and is going to give us this wonderful presentation on the 101 of gang stalking, I just want to go into a prayer. And God, I thank you. I thank you for affording the opportunity to have Doug as a guest today on a very important topic of gang stalking. I thank you for continuing to have your hand of protection over each and every one of us in targeted justice as we fight the good fight each and every single day. And I thank you, God, for everything that we deserve is coming toward us, and we are a magnet for blessings and healing to come our way. And we trust in you, and we stand on your truth that no weapon formed against us shall prosper, and that your hand is on the situation and the exposure of this corruption that is being done against us by our own government, innocent women, men, and children. And Lord, please guide our steps in the days ahead and shine your light upon our path and show us the way we should go and what actions we need to take. And thank you for surrounding us with your angels of protection. And thank you, Lord. Amen. All right. Excellent. Thank you so much. Well, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bring Doug up on the stage here. Hi, Doug. Can you say hello? Can you hear me? I think we're having a little technical difficulty. Doug, can you hear me? Well, we'll give him a minute. I'm not sure that he's hearing me. Well, Doug, can you hear us? We can see you, but we can't hear you. Let me see. I'm going to try to send him a message in the chat here for StreamYard. All right, Doug. Let's see. Let me just try adding him again. Hey, Doug, can you hear me? Hi, Doug. I think he's going to try to connect again. I'm also reaching out for some technical support for Doug at this moment. Sorry about that, folks. While we're waiting for Doug to be able to join, what I can do is I had some information I wanted to share with the community as well. Just some reminder and guidance that just know that we are, this technology is just, it's an inside job. That's what mind control is. And the goal is that in order to gain power over us, and it is what's necessary is for our mental buy-in. And I know that that seems like an oversimplified statement, but what I want to talk to you about is that when we are under these heavy attacks, just know that our light shining us out, number one, is the connection with the higher power and God. And number two is us coming to terms that we know what's being done to us and we understand the motive and agenda is to take over us. Because when we're in fear, when we're in stress, when we're in the trauma and the emotional trigger is what these programs thrive off of. Because why? Because in those moments is your vulnerability to be overrun and overcome and overwhelmed by mind control technologies. So just it's food for thought. So our way out is to recognize the patterns, and that would be our own patterns that we have that make us predictable and easily traceable. Because another kryptonite to these mind control stalking programs is that they cannot gauge our free will choice, and spontaneity is kryptonite as well. So just keep that in mind when these things continue to happen and such to you, that free will choice, you still have choice. Yes, we're limited in what we can do, but our voice is very powerful, right? But we have to build up the mental resilience along with the physical. So it's mental shielding and physical shielding. And we have to experiment, and we have to want this more than anything, our liberation and our healing. And we need to make positive movements going forward each and every single day. All right, I'm going to try to bring up Doug again. Hi, Doug, can you hear us now? I know Anna Toledo is also trying to assist too. I'm going to let me send her. She's going to join in. Hi, Doug, can you hear us? As we wait for Anna or Richard Lighthouse to join too, you have to find it really ironic, and it really isn't a coincidence that yesterday Targeted Justice was able to make headlines on the very topic that we're speaking about today. So there's that. Again, their darkness doesn't want us to win, but we're going to keep on going. And Richard Lighthouse should be joining very shortly. I'm hoping that Doug can join us. The audio just isn't. It's just not wanting to work or come through for us. if Doug is not able to join, then Richard Lighthouse will talk to us about gang stalking, because that is a topic that he is very, very familiar with. So I'm just going to. Hi, Doug. Can you hear us? All right. Let me just take a look at some of the comments that we have so far as we're waiting. All right.
You can go in.
Hi. Hi, Richard.
Hi. Can you see me?
I cannot see you. It's a dark screen. Oh, there you are. Thanks so much for joining so quickly. Doug is on the stage, but he has gone in and out with video, but the audio is not working for him.
Oh my God, hold on. Can you hear us?
I can hear you. I can't hear her.
Can you hear me?
Oh.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, Melissa, I have Doug here on the iPhone. So
We're gonna use it as an intermediary.
maybe we can do something. You know how we have to be creative at the
Right.
Yeah. So maybe we can just you can interview Doug. I don't know if you have his image, but we can.
I do have a slide that is about the That Gangstalking Show. I could, well, I'd have to go back to my slide and quickly paste something in there, and this is a PDF, but I have this up on the screen that gives Doug's information, because Doug is he has done so much content on the on his show, That Gangstalking Show, and he just is a wealth of knowledge on that. So I do have a quick bio that I can read that Doug provided me. And he has been a targeted individual since August of 2004. And from 2004 to 2010, he didn't know about the program, gang stalking, or the technology. You know, nowadays people can readily find out about the program out online. But in 2004 to 2010, there was relatively nothing, and he just suffered in silence. And this led him on, obviously, a very horrific journey. You can't find anything to support, you know, what you're going through. And it led him to a dark time where he almost committed suicide and OD'd. He was a med-surg nurse from 1997 to 2008, and he had to surrender his license under duress. The stalking and all that was combined was more than he could handle at the time. And he took an oath to do the patient no harm. You know, how this situation can influence those situations, and we feel very morally conflicted when we are under duress and also responsible for someone else's care. So you can definitely compassionately, in compassion, know what he was going through at that time. So since he surrendered his license, he lost such a vast amount of potential income over the years, and he's been chased all over Texas by the program. And now he understands that the only thing they can really do is fearmonger us, you know, that, and we can all relate with that. And so he also is one of the few TIs who knows who placed him in the program. And his started with a problem with his ex, and he said the wrong thing, and within days the harassment began, and he was warned repeatedly, do not make so-and-so angry. He knows a lot of people. And evidently that person had influence on who administers the program, and made a call, and Doug was placed on that program. Richard, was Doug trying to say something, or was that you?
No, it looks like the call dropped. So we'll go ahead and I'll work with you on this. I think Doug is certainly more of an expert on the gang stalking issues, and he's talked with many people online. But gang stalking in general is a very difficult subject because it very much appears to someone who's being gang stalked that it strictly involves local people, and there's actually a massive hierarchy of funding and leadership and direction and organization that is involved with gang stalking. So it actually goes back to the COINTEL program. And
Doug, is that you?
That's me. I'm back.
Oh, you got it. All right. Well, let's let Richard. You please finish your
No,
statement.
I want to defer to Doug.
No, go ahead,
Doug,
Richard. Finish what you was going to say.
So I was just saying basically so some people can understand the hierarchy involved, and it goes back to CIA's MK Ultra program and the FBI's COINTEL Pro program. And so it's a combination of these programs, and it's kind of been put on steroids and rolled out as a mass program. And so there's a lot of complexities and subtleties to it. But I want Doug to join in at this point, and I'm going to mute myself, and I'll step back in if I can comment. Okay.
Doug, thank you
Thank you,
again. Thank you again.
Yes,
I had just read your bio, and so if you want to just continue with and tell the audience what led up to knowing you were targeted and where it began. I kind of just went over that, but in your own words, you had stated some of that information in your bio, and if you just want to summarize, where it all began.
Well, it's complicated. It's very, very complicated. I don't want to step on the people who did this to me, because these people, they're insane, really.
Mm-hmm.
It took me a good minute to tell you about this, but
Mm-hmm.
now that I look back, everything that was done in my gang stalking was done to inevitably end in suicide, because it just made life hell day in and day out. I couldn't explain it to anybody. I'd never heard of gang stalking. I didn't know what it was about. And it took years and years and years for me to put it all together. But basically, and I don't want to, here's the thing about it, that I was married, and only one or two people that I know of at the time even knew I was married. So the person I was married to, every so often out of 5 or 6 years of the relationship, would say, "You don't want to make my father angry." Just out of the clear blue sky, that phrase would drop. And I go, what am I going to do to make him angry? There would be times that we'd be in a restaurant, and I'm very, very loud because I'm hard of hearing. And I would say things, just go, "Shh, keep your voice down." I'm like, why? Because my father knows a lot of people. And I just thought that, everybody has got an idiosyncratic side to them. You, me, everybody has got something that is just a little off about them. And that's what I wrote it off as. I said, well, that's just, that's it. Then another time, is really crazy. She says, "I want to tell you a little story." And mind you, we never had one argument in the entire 5 or 6 year relationship. She goes, "I want to tell you a story." I'm like, "Well, go ahead. I'm a good listener." She goes, "My father took me to my grandfather's gravesite and told me or asked me, do you know who's in that grave? She goes, yeah, that's granddaddy so-and-so. He says, he's not only your granddaddy, he was the Grand Imperial Wizard of the KKK in Tyler, Texas. Or she didn't say Tyler, but it was for this area, I would assume.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought when she told me this, I was like, maybe she's getting this off her chest. And I thought, I'm like, I didn't really know my grandfathers on either side of the family. Maybe they were into this. I don't know. I thought that it was idiosyncratic behavior for most of it. But that last part, I just thought that maybe she was getting this off her chest. And this was years before the gang stalking started.
Mm-hmm.
And so we finally got a divorce in 2004, I believe. And she came to my residence, which she was living at. I had a mobile home. And she came to get all of her stuff. And she had her father and her brother with her. And, you know, I'm sitting there, I'm bawling, man. I'm losing it. And we say a few things back and forth, but later on when they're, you know, they got everything loaded, you know, her brother basically looked at me and says, you don't want to fuck with my father. You do not want to fuck with this man. I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. I am not going to do that. But this was like May, and at the time I had a DWI and I couldn't drive. My license was suspended. So I had to move out of this trailer home because my vehicle wasn't running. So I had to go stay with my sister in a town, you know, some distance away. So while I'm staying with her, I'm limited in where I can go and what I can do.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, you know, I owed my ex money, which I had every intention of paying. But she called me one night or one evening, and I'd already had a lot to drink. I had been placed on medications I shouldn't have been placed on. And I said the wrong thing to her. I said something to her that I never should have said. And that's what started the whole gang stalking thing. Because I offended her and I said things to her that I shouldn't have said. Because I basically owed her money for a loan that she's co-signed for. I was a nurse and I wanted to get out of nursing and go into something else. And so she was going to, she co-signed for a loan for, what was it? It was for IT. And so I got the loan, and then, you know, I don't want to get into all the particulars about it. She said, he said, and all this kind of stuff. What happened is I couldn't finish the course because I didn't have a car and I couldn't drive back and forth. And so she calls me one night and I'm lit. I'm not able to sleep. A quack doctor had been for the past 6 months putting me on medications I shouldn't have been on. This was during the era of when doctors, you'd go see them and they would just write out prescription after prescription.
Mm-hmm.
And so he wrote out a bunch of prescriptions for some SSRIs, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, which I didn't need to be on. And it took years to get off this stuff. But that and benzodiazepines, and I couldn't sleep, and on and on and on and on. I'm not in no way making an excuse for what I said. I'm just setting it up for what I'm about to say. So when she called me, instead of saying, I'm sorry, honey, you know, just give me a little bit of time and I'll take care of this note. Something happened to me that has happened only a few times in my life. There's been times when I almost got into a fist fight with other people, and somebody would say something to me, and instead of saying what was really on my mind, like, I'm going to kick your ass, or what I might have intended to say, I would say, like, well, spaghetti comes out of the coffee machine, you know, just not anything that bizarre and that stupid, but whatever I meant to say, it just didn't come out right. And what I said to her, it didn't come out right. But needless to say, I did say it. And I understand her father, her brother, and her entire family for wanting to come after me. Because I think about it, had that been my daughter, my sister, and somebody said, fuck you, I'm not going to pay you a motherfucking dime. Excuse me, you know, that's exactly what I said. I'm not going to pay you a dime. I would anticipate that they would get pissed off, you know, and want to come after me, and that I would get pissed off and want to go after somebody else. But it is what it is. And for 20 years since I said whatever it was I said, I have suffered tremendously. I have lost my career in nursing. I got gang stalked all over Texas, from Tyler to Chandler, Texas, to Austin, Texas, back to Tyler, Texas, then to Rush, Texas. Everywhere I went, I got like a 2-week honeymoon, and it caught up with me. And I kept saying, what is this that is going on? Who's doing this, and why are they doing it? And I never knew. But as time progressed, you know, little clues and hints would come out, and I finally put it all together that it was her family that was coming after me. I'm not going to mention their name or anything like that, but I do remember that there was a time when we went to her family's house to have a party, and it was all white vehicles up and down the street for as long as I could see. And I thought, you know, this was like 2002 or 2004. I'm like, wow, what a coincidence. Why all the white vehicles? And then when the whole thing about my grandfather being buried here and all the threats and don't say this in front of my dad, I thought to myself, are these people with the Klan? And so out of, and see, I'm saying this is, I haven't said any of this stuff in a while. Somebody just yelled, but I haven't said any of this stuff in a while. And, you know, I'm concerned whether or not I'm going to get harassed again. And I'm not trying to bring up problems with other people. I'm not trying to, you know, cause another scene, but I'm just saying that I called the FBI and just putting what I could together. I'm like, hey, what, you know, I just threw this out there. I go, is it true that the Klan drive primarily white vehicles? And they go, yeah, what else you need to know? We're very busy. I said, thank you very much. And that sealed the deal. So, you know, I never know why they start a campaign of harassment, and I never know why they end it. And this right here, what I'm saying, I'm absolutely positive somebody with, you know, that has something to do with this program, whether it's them or whatever, or I could get retaliation again for this. And I just want to say this before I let the questions come at me. This program is, at the very least, it runs on 2 tiers, from what I can deduce from this. What happened to me was somebody, and I was told he knows a lot of people, and I totally underestimated what she meant by that. I didn't understand what she meant. I'm like, what does that got to do with me? What does that got to do with us? And she was trying to tell me in a passive manner that, you know, he knows a lot of people and bad things can happen to you, is what she's trying to say. But I wasn't understanding that at the time. So the thing about it is, this program, it's not only the government involved. This is what I think. This is my 2 cents, that there are people in America and around the world who know people that are very well connected.
Absolutely.
And if you piss these people off, they can pick up the phone and go, call the people, like the people that won the program. Hey, there's this guy, my daughter's husband, and I want you to put him in the program. Then they go, we'll get back to you on that. Then they look at you and they go, it'll just be another moment or two, and I'll let you speak. They look at you and they determine whether or not they can come after you. If you got money, endless resources, endless supplies of money, and you know people like, let's say you're Hunter Biden, Hunter Biden's not getting put in this program. Why? He's well connected. He's got a lot of money. His father's got a lot of money. You're not going to put the Clintons in this program either. Same reason. But if you want to put somebody in this program that doesn't know anybody, doesn't have any money, resources, you can do it. And that's what they do. I totally believe that that's what it is. And another thing, throughout all of this, I was not only harassed by the Klan, there were times I saw specifically Klan activity, and then there was times I saw explicitly Masonic activity, and then there's times I saw explicit government entities involved in this. So what does that lead me to believe? It leads me to believe that the government is involved in this. They're the ones that are broke. They're the ones involved in this.
Mm-hmm.
Other people, the Masons, the Klan, the regular people that knows those people, they're also involved, but on a limited basis. It's highly compartmentalized. This whole program is highly compartmentalized. And there are things and aspects of this program that the local secret fraternities don't know anything about. They have an idea, but it's my opinion, they don't know anything about. But the program is being, operated and maintained. The logistics, the money, the funding, everything is being done by, black op, whatever you want to call it, dark programs and dark funding, where they're stealing money from the treasury or whatever, however they're getting that money. And the thing about it is I think, my personal opinion, I'm about to wrap this up. My personal opinion is that this program was initially started after Project MK Ultra and COINTELPRO as a way to silence whistleblowers within the government. You start running this gang stalking stuff. You start using classified technology. It's a good way to get people to commit suicide and get them to shut up. That's my opinion. It could be something totally different, but that's what I believe. There are a lot of people that don't know why they're being put in the program, but I know exactly why. There's not one shred of doubt as to why I'm in this program and to who placed me into it. I hear a lot of people going, well, I think so-and-so, but I'm not sure. Let me tell you something. There's absolutely not one shred of doubt, because I was warned for years and years and years not to open my mouth, not to say anything. And unbeknownst to me, I did. And boy, they let the hammer fall. So if you guys got some questions or whatever, feel free to ask. I just have to get that out of the way.
Yeah, and your story mirrors mine a lot. I know who put me on this list, and he is a multimillionaire, a private business owner who is very well, deeply connected within Houston and Texas too. I did the research on this because I was threatened. I work for this company, and I found things, and I'm a back-end HR, analyst, back-end administrator for, the payroll, the everything human resources benefits, that thing system, right? So when I was in there doing what I do best, I saw corruption and, them not following their own policies in terms of benefits, and essentially robbing people of their 401k, misreportings and filings to the government, denying someone a kidney because they were private funded insurance because they didn't want to deal with them, denying workers comp claims, putting dangerous people on the road, and a lot of their business is transportation related to their product. So when I started raising these kinds of concerns, I was told you don't mess with XX, that same word. And then I was also threatened by their leadership to my face, stating that if you don't stop bringing these things to the attention, then you're going to have a very negative consequence to your life. And that was very true. And right after that statement, their other leadership were saying, maybe this isn't the right place for you. You wear your feelings too much on your sleeve. You're sensitive. Nobody here likes you. These type of things. And then the gang stalking actually started within the environment itself. And then it spread out to following me while I was on lunch break. And then the chatter about, oh, she sat in her car again. They would claim that they were just spit in my water. They would move things around on my desk. I mean, these are the typical things. And then it started to be the surveillance, messing with things at home, and actually putting a physical hard tap on the landline, which I discovered and took that information to the FBI. When I went to the FBI office, lo and behold, who's sitting in the lobby before me? The risk manager for that company, who spoke with the same agent that I did before I even got to meet with her. And she just told me that, oh, eventually this will stop. And I told her, I said, this is a conflict of interest because the people I'm reporting is the one that you just met with. And you don't find that ironic? So again, I because of where I used to work, I was able to go to a prominent law firm in Houston, and I told them about this. And they were not in shock it was happening to me. What they told me was they couldn't take the case because the man is so deeply connected all over the place and has unlimited resources. He serves on the FBI.
Nowhere.
Yeah. So HPD Foundation board member he is. Ties to law firm boards and medical Texas children's. And he served as a committee member on Bush and Obama's administration. Yeah. So that's what, so regardless, that's where I landed on this. And they did this harassment to my mother too. And I really do feel that they created an early death for her because she had rapid onset dementia and was getting directed energy attacks on her head. So again, this is what happens, when you are doing what's right and exposing information that is nothing but more than just the truth in this case, and just to bring it to awareness. Because at the first thought, I was like, well, I see this corruption where there was embezzlement within their own system to people who never worked there and bank accounts. So I thought they would be thankful to that information because in my role, I'm about what's best for the company, to protect the company and the people. And so in both manners, that wasn't what they wanted. And I'm not the only person that this happened to because of this man. So again, abuse of power. There's so many layers and tentacles to this because it's just a simple favor, a call. Hey, this person's making waves for me. Blacklist them for life.
Yep. That's what this is about. I mean, I initially thought that, after looking over the whole program and stuff, my 2 cents is this program wasn't really created for you and me. It was created to blacklist people that they work with and then go after other people that you deem, needed for somebody to reach out and touch them. And then it turned into here's my 2 cents on this. Let's say you got somebody in the program, they work with the NSA, the CIA, the FBI, or some other part of the program. Well, these people, they all went to college somewhere. And why do people join fraternities in colleges and universities? You want to know why? I asked my nephew one time, why are you joining this little fraternity here at this little Dicky Doodah college? He goes, dude, 20 years from now, man, if I want to get somewhere and do something, all I got to do is call my frat brothers up and they'll hook me up. Even though they don't remember you. Yeah, even though they don't remember me, man, because membership has privileges, basically. And that's what this is about. People who are deeply embedded or work for the for the government. A lot of them, 75% of them, join these fraternities. Why? Just like I explained, George Bush. What is he? Skull and bones. I mean, they're all like this. They join these fraternities, and then when somebody needs a little favor, a little something on the side, they give it to them. So, how does somebody in the Klan or the Masons or anything like that? How did they, reach out and touch somebody beyond what their ability is? Call this program up. People that they went to school with or they didn't go to school with, but they're still connected through a fraternal organization. They can still reach out and touch people. And this is all criminal. It's all criminal activity. And I just want to say this. I really believe that there is a beginning, middle, and ending to everything. And I really believe that though I may get gang stalked again, and I may get more harassment, and I may get more classified electronic technology, I believe it's on the way out, because we have got a force to be reckoned with, and that's Donald Trump. That's in the White House, and the people he's bringing with him is kicking ass and taking names, and they're going to shut this down. One way or the other, they're going to shut it down. And if these people are think that they're going to go around and continue this type of harassment on everyday American citizens and not get caught, they're full of shit. They're going to get caught, and they're not going to go to jail. They're going to go to federal prison, and they're going to go for a long time, because once you start messing with the federal government and the prosecution of the federal government, these people are going to go to jail. They're going to go to prison for a long time. So I believe it is going to happen. The reason these people have had such a good run is George Bush, who I voted for, worthless. He's one of them. Didn't find out until too late. Clinton, he's one of them. Obama, he's one of them. Why do they try to assassinate Trump? He's not one of them. Trump is a dick. He really is. I think he really is a dick, but that's okay. I admire people who say what they think and do what they believe that they should do. And for the majority of the time, this guy's right. I mean, he may be a bit gruff about how he goes about doing it, but that's okay. I like that he's doing it. And I think that this is the beginning of the end for this program. This program initially started off in East Germany. It started in East Germany in 1959, and it ended when the Berlin Wall fell down. This was where gang stalking came from. If people want to learn more about the program, its origins and what it's about and how it came about, look up the East Secret German Stasi Police of East Germany. They did this day in and day out. It was estimated that 1 in 3 people in East Germany were a co-conspirator or was in on it. That meant that even if you went to church, your pastor, your preacher, your priest could be snitching on you, and there's nothing you could do about it. And why did they do it? In East Germany, they didn't have a choice. Either you participated in it or it happened to you. There was no middle ground. So if you decided to snitch on your father, your mother, or anybody else, that meant that you were going to be a target. And what happened? Well, in a communist society, a socialist republic, whatever you want to call it, people have to have a place to live. And who owns private property in China? Nobody. Who owned private property in East Germany? Nobody. When you went to a grocery store, you didn't go to mom and pop's grocery store. You went to the grocery store owned by the East Germans. Everything, your housing, your medical, everything. So if they put you in the program and they wanted to off you, they just kept doing this kind of stuff. And over a period of time, you go, I can't handle it. And then somebody spin the barrel, That's what would happen. That's exactly what happened. And I just want to add something before I close that out, is that if you want to see a movie that depicts the East Secret German Stasi police, watch the movie The Lives of Others. It doesn't get into heavy gang stalking. It only kind of touches on it just a little bit. But it's the only thing that you can really watch and see that has legitimate history to it, legitimate value to it. I wish they would come out with a movie about gang stalking, but I think until we can bury the Hollywood elites as we know it, it's not going to happen. Why? Because they participate in it. If you're an actor and you don't go along with the status quo and you don't buy into the same narrative that they're pushing on people, they gang stalk you. What's her name? Lee Remy. She was an actress. What was that other guy's name? Randy Quaid, an actor. Randy Quaid being gang stalked, and Lee Remy was being gang stalked through what was that?
Scientology.
Scientology, yeah. Scientology is heavily into this. This is a set of protocols.
Secret societies. Yes.
Anybody can, if you have enough, I know enough about it right now that if I had 10 to 20 people that I could call on at any time, I could do this to anybody. I could make somebody lose their freaking mind. That's all there is to it. And I know this program like the back of my hand. I could do it to you. I could do it to Richard. I could do it to Anna. Anybody, no problem. All I got to do is make a few phone calls and then send people into your workplace or whatever and have them mob you with classical conditioning and behavioral modification, which is known as operant conditioning. That's the things, the two modalities that all of this hinges upon.
So those modalities, like the conditioning with that conditioning, that would be the gaslighting and, again, everything that is very fear inspired, like what I stated at the beginning of the episode. This is how they entrap you to condition you to take over, your mind. And by inspiring this paranoia, because you never know when the next event is going to happen, the stalking, having to look over your shoulder, being in constant fight or flight response. And so that's in trauma inducing. So they want when you're vulnerable like that is when they want to go in for the attack and descend on you like vultures.
I've always said that this program, when it was unleashed upon me in the first couple of years, it was most lethal because I didn't know anything, and everything that they kept hitting with, it was something new. But now I can tell you, it wouldn't be a cakewalk. It wouldn't be a cakewalk at all. But what else can they do to me that they have not already done to me? It's been 3 years and a couple of months since the last time my harassment started up. But then again, it could start up again right now. But that's okay. If they want to do it, you want to rock that? Let's rock it. Let's go. But
once you understand it really diffuses.
And I've already got a legal case started in this already. Years ago, I talked to an attorney, and instead of going in there and going, these people are gang stalking me and they're using classified technology on me, I didn't say anything like that. I just stated the acts that were committed minus the technology. And then what did the attorney say to me? You've got a classic case of proxy stalking. And I'm like, exactly. That's exactly what I expected him to say. But if you run down to an attorney and you start dropping names and you're hypomanic or you're manic, they're going to look at you like, I'm not touching you. No, this gang stalking, I looked it up, and you have got a delusion that is perpetuated by the internet, and I'm not going to help you. So my advice to anybody that's going to watch this video is don't go spouting off, somebody's gang stalking me. to an attorney. Don't go, they're using voice to skull on me to an attorney. They're using remote neural monitoring to an attorney, because they don't understand and they're not going to represent you. You can have somebody represent you without spouting off gang stalking nomenclature. And, you can, but you're going to have to go show that you have some semblance of, being normal, not abnormal, as they would say in Young Frankenstein.
Yeah, it's because that's just part of how the structure of this program is, that psyop that we're, to make you appear mentally unstable. So we have to outsmart it.
Well,
I
see,
know
they
that
don't have to make you appear mentally unstable. You do that for them. I remember
yeah,
when in the first couple of years, I was trying to explain this to other people, and people go, Doug, you sound like a fucking lunatic. You sound like you're fucking crazy. Excuse the language, but without language, people are really not going to really understand. And I, like you, I'm a Christian too. I pray, but if I were to go before a judge right now in a court of law, and you're effing crazy, there we go. Is that what was said? No, something else was said. Say what was said is what your attorney would tell you. You don't paraphrase it. You don't cut it up and mince it into nice, sweet little, vignettes or whatever you want to call it. You say what needs to be. And the first couple of 2, 3, 4, 5 years, I could not articulate it. And I had to get to a place where I said, I don't know what this is, but stop telling people about it until you can figure it out. And once I figured out what it was, then I could articulate it without people thinking I'm nutty anymore. There are people that in the first 5 years, I tried to articulate, and they're like, Doug, man, oh, what happened to you, buddy? And then here in the past 5, 10 years, about 8 years, they see me posting on Facebook or whatever, and they're like, yeah, dude, I really do think people were effing with you. I really do believe it now. But when you were like 15, 18 years ago, you were like, I couldn't understand it. And I go, well, I couldn't understand it. And if I can't understand it, how can I articulate to you what I don't understand? It's like trying to tell somebody the laws of physics, and you don't understand anything about physics, but you know what the laws of physics do. You drop something from a tree, it's going to fall down. You understand that, but I don't know.
and like you said, I mean, the whole design of this is for you to out off yourself, right? Yeah. For you to take, you, because you are the evidence.
I want to add something to that real quick. The program really doesn't have to do anything to discredit you. All you have to do is open up your mouth and stick your foot in it. They hope that with everything that they do to you or do around you or say to you, they hope that you will open your mouth and stick your foot in your mouth, because they know that what they're doing is traumatizing you. So my advice to any targeted individual watching this, keep your mouth shut until you can articulate what is going on with you. Because if you can't articulate it, it's like speaking a foreign language to someone who doesn't understand the language you're talking, and they're like, they don't understand,
No, it's too much. It's too obscure to them. It's not relatable, so it gets overwhelmed. Yep. And they want to reject you because they don't have any exposure or knowledge to something that is completely legitimate. Like you said, it's and I agree with you that in the very beginning is when it was had the most stronghold, right? Once you begin to see the patterns and the cycles of it, then you kind of see through it. And it really is kind of mediocre at the core of it, because it's just really all about gaslighting to incite a adverse reaction. You like putting your foot in your mouth or taking action or harm against someone else or property, so that you can be convicted and charged for it.
Yep.
And
Yep.
again, it's kind of a nice and neat little way of having you just kind of spin around and burn out, knowing that,
Well,
okay, some people aren't going to be able to handle it and they may harm themselves, they may harm
Yeah.
someone else, then they got a
There you go.
conviction.
Well, we
So-
got a classic example of that of Matthew Choi, this targeted individual from New Zealand. I don't know why he went to China. I presume it was probably because a lot of people in Australia, a lot of Asian people from Australia and New Zealand have ties to China and the Orient. And so from my understanding, he goes to, China, and he gets in the back seat of a taxi, and he perceives that the taxi driver is berating him and mouthing off to him. And I can tell you this, I don't know how the technology works like this, but I've seen it. I've seen the technology affect another human being within my perimeter, that I can hear them and I can see them, and they have said crazy shit. And I'm like, I know this person. There was one time that I was at a party. It's a small party. It's like 4 of us. And people I know from a long time ago. And they're in the kitchen, which is like 15, 20 feet away. And they're talking about, yeah, man, you grab Doug and you hold him, and then I'm going to sit here and smack him. I'm going to punch him in the side. I'm going to damage his kidney. See, I only got one kidney. And I'm like, this is crazy. I can't believe they're saying this about me. Then they disperse from that, and then they come into the living room I'm at, and they're just like totally normal. I'm like, I know I'm not hallucinating. But then again, I saw it another time, and always turned into where somebody is totally not themselves. I don't know how the technology does that, but I have seen it. I've seen it at least 2 or 3 times. And so it's absolutely insane where somebody can use technology to
influence and override a
or
person.
do something totally not themselves. And, it's just mind-boggling what it is.
Yeah, it's just such a manipulation and such a civil violation that somebody who can simply just pick up a phone and without no remorse or no conscience and say, hey, blacklist this person and turn their whole world upside down for the rest of their, life. And, just because somebody got upset, instead of just, number one, ponying up to the truth of the matter, if in terms of whistleblowing, anything they can do to make that truth stay hidden, or just because they can. I mean, a lot of this is just because they can. And then the handlers.
Why are they doing this to me? Because they can. These people are godless. These people are reprobates, or what they are. It's unbelievable the amount of hatred that these people have within themselves that they project onto other people enough to go out to the public and try to do someone like me in, or do something like you, somebody like you in, and have the time, money, resources, logistics, and everything to try to destroy that person's life. And that is just, it's absolutely profoundly amazing that not only that you can do it, but that you would want to do it. There's a lot of people I've met that I do not like. I don't want to be around. I wouldn't even waste my berating them or talking bad about them. But these people, they get their feelings hurt really easy. That's what it all amounts to. If they didn't get their feelings hurt, they wouldn't come after you. But they're like, oh, he offended me, so I'm going to have to go after him now. And I'm gonna add this little thing to it. Maybe people agree with me, but maybe they won't. In my observation, the people that are the most unhinged in our American society are Democrats. They're liberals. They are flat out. They get offended over everything. So what do I think that this program is comprised of? Liberals and Democrats. I mean, these are the type of people that will take and call Trump Hitler. And yet I have seen people that are still alive from the Holocaust going, you want me to tell you who Hitler is? He's not Trump. They will take one word and transform it to mean to something else that it doesn't mean. And I think in my heart of heart that this program is comprised of a lot of people who are supporters of the Democrat Party. Why? Because now that we've seen Doge enacted, we've seen Elon Musk and all of his underlings helping out. What's going on? A lot of thievery is going on. And who's doing it? A lot of waste, fraud, and abuse. Democrats. Now, Elon's going to go after, and they're going to try to figure out how does Nancy Pelosi have all this money? How does Adam Schiff have all this money? How does Elizabeth Warren have all this money? And they're just a politician that doesn't make that much money. They make that much
it's all
money
corruption,
they're corrupt.
quid pro quo.
If you want to take it back to where it begins, the Democrats begin by slavery. Then they go to war over slavery. Then they get beat with the slavery. And then what do? They create the KKK. And then what do from then on out? They create problems for normal, everyday American citizens. That's what it's all about. And it's always been Democrats. And since you have Democrats and you've got this program, which is a government program, who's involved in it? It's Democrats and the government. That's it.
I think that globally, there's been a severe social conditioning, when it's just been, the removal. Remember when, God was removed from the schools and prayer, again,
all that was done.
When you don't have a connection to a higher power and, people,
all of that,
whatever that higher power is, then that's where, things just go off the rails. And then you're divulging and you're entertaining your vices, and you're not thinking about any consequences, and it's just like a constant spiral of of darkness, and there's no enlightenment, there's no personal striving toward betterment and exceeding your boundaries and such. But that's where this is where we have that free will choice. Do we want to, if somebody were to approach me and say that I need to participate in somebody else's torture and pain and suffering, I would go tell them to go jump off a bridge and to go, solicit someone else, but not me. The moral compass has been, conditionally kind of disconnected, and until that reconnection happens, then because people will just easily be, persuaded by incentive to participate in something like this. Now, another angle of it is too, because I try to see all angles of it, is they were likely led in by lies and deception to participate into someone else's torture, thinking that they're doing something for the government and something for the business, that is because this person has done something when they did not. And it was really just being a pawn in the game of it.
They get away with that. They get away with that by misconstruing what the target has supposedly done. There's an old, I got it on my channel in one of the first few videos I have. It was like how gang stalkers are recruited, and it was an old, probably 20, 25-year-old video, maybe even 30. It was John, the reporter, the social reporter, John Keonis, doing a bit on how somebody with a fake badge was able to get people to do things like go spy on them, go put something in a baby's carriage, give the baby's mother drop this little pill and what it was into her drink. And what it was conditioning the people to think, hey, that woman over there with the baby carriage, that's not her baby. She stole that baby. We need to get the baby back. I am a detective, and I need you to help me. We got to sedate her, so I need you to take this pill, go over there, and drop it into her glass so we can slow her down. And which is all a bunch of nonsense. And it's just, all you got to do is have an evil mind to tell somebody an absolute, complete, absurd lie to have someone come after you. I will tell you this, and I haven't talked about this much on my channel, but there was an angle that they kept hitting me with that I didn't understand for years and years and years. There was a time when I was having Voice the Skull, and they kept saying, go to where the kids are. And, you know, I don't know where you're at, but I'm in East Texas, and I got a real thick East Texas country accent. This person was like way thicker than mine. Go to where the kids are, boy. I'm like, who are you? What are you talking about?
Oh,
Shut
no.
the fuck up. And so from that began in February 2009, and it pretty much, that was the same theme for years and years and years. There was always this theme of pedophilia. And I'm like, what is
It's so common in this. These people are so sick.
Now, I've seen this played out in other male targeted individuals. I didn't know, number one, were they trying to say that to make me believe that the people within my perimeter thought that that's what I was and that I should be afraid because one of these people is going to be a vigilante and try to off me? Or did they actually believe that's what I was? I still don't know.
I think it's all shock value.
It is sick. It is absolutely demented that any man or woman or person would insinuate that that's who I am when that's who I'm not. I mean, if
exactly.
It really was,
the same angle was done on me. That same exact angle was done on me, you know, saying that they kept saying, oh, did you send this email? I'm like, what email? But see, you know, and again, if they were remoting into other people's machines within the HR department, and I was like, well, that's not ethical. So they could have easily remoted into my machine and sent an email. They were asking to see my cell phone, if I had WhatsApp. I'm like, what is WhatsApp? I didn't know what that was at the time. So again, this was all like a internal mobbing, sabotaging, you know, damaging my stuff. You know, they were
sick.
They were not bright. They were these people were so uncouth. And
beyond the pale.
Yeah, these people were so uncouth and not bright in this environment that they were even saying that they were trying, the risk manager, the one who was actually the one that was in the FBI lobby, had went into somebody's office, and this blabbermouth afterwards was telling everybody, yeah, keep doing what you're doing. You know, the CFO says it's working. And we're invoking the fight and flight response. And again, at that time I was like, flight or fight. I wasn't really familiar with it. And it's really about, old school CIA brainwashing, 1950s, right out of the
overload is what they're trying. Yeah. They want to overload your system. And then by doing that, you won't sleep, you won't eat, your blood pressure will go up, your heart rate will go up. Your social interactions with other people will go down, and then you'll start talking about this to other people, and it just makes you look like a complete loon. So when they start doing it, the best thing that you should do is just, unless you know what you're talking about and know what's going on, you shouldn't be trying to talk to others unless you know somebody really, really good and they understand. Because what they're trying to do is to get you to do what I did in the first 5 or 6, 7, 8, 9 years, was try to explain something that I don't understand. I mean, it's it's like trying to explain a math equation and you don't understand math. Well, there's these numbers and these numbers keep appearing, and if you don't understand it, it's best to keep it to yourself until you, at some point, can articulate it and understand it.
Well,
But
our
it's
community
crazy.
understands. So that's your outlet, and that's your sanctuary. The community, we have so many events and we understand what's going on. But again, we have to articulate it in a digestible way for the public so that they are open to receive it.
Saying, as we're having this conversation, if this was 2008, you wouldn't want to be talking to me right now. I wouldn't know what to say to you. I would just saying, there's crazy shit going on. People are following me around my neighborhood, and I'm hearing voices in my head that I know are not voices, and my whole world is going crazy. I don't understand it. I wouldn't know how to articulate it. I just wouldn't, because I went through all those things and 10 to the 10th power more than that. So
unfortunately, that's how they get to us, because the shock factor. You're like, I'll never forget when I started hearing the V2K, because they would limit it to the gang mobbing in the office, but then when the V2K became permanent, right, was when I was at home, and it was at a time where I was at home alone, and I was like, why am I hearing these people here? So, but that's when I bought the device.
Avoid it. I mean, you have to be like Caligula, effed up to partake in something like this. I mean, you have to be like one of the people in Caligula's inner circle to participate in this. And Caligula was off the hook. He was mental, sick. But that's what these people enjoy this. They thoroughly enjoy it. And
there's just something there's very
in it.
In order for somebody to have a moral compass override, there is something either very insecure or trauma within them that, let's say, that somehow or another this puts them in a position that now they get to be the ones that is oppressing someone, when maybe their life they were raised on being oppressed by something.
Well, I tell you what was Saddam Hussein's? He had 2 sons, Uday and somebody else. You know what his sons were doing while he was in power? His sons were taking people, the men that are in the sports teams within Iraq, and he's having these guys doing sexual things with each other, and they didn't want to participate in it. But if they didn't, Uday and Kuday, whatever their names would, they would have them killed. So that is a sick.
It sounds very, very much like a cult ring, just kind of like with what's going on with the pedophilia and the Hollywood and all of those societies. Because if they don't go along with it, then suddenly they die of some mysterious illness that was natural, or suicided. When they try to get out of it.
Suicide. I really did. It was after I turned in my I didn't turn in my resignation. I went to work one day, and this was after I'd been screwed with over and over and over and over and over at work as a nurse. And so I walk down the hall getting ready to assume my shift, and this nurse, who was an RN, who was somebody that I went to high school with. She was a senior when I was a freshman. And I actually had a conversation with her in 1997 at a local restaurant called Mercado's. And I saw her there, and I'm not going to mention her name, but we talked for like an hour. And I'm like, I'm so stoked. I'm going to be a nurse. Yeah, I'm going to make all this money. I'm going to make a killing. And then years and years later, like 9 years later, I see her in my hometown of Russ, Texas, and she hires me. She's like, "Oh, Doug, it's going to be great. You're an awesome guy." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's going to be great." And then I work a couple of weeks, and then I come to work one afternoon, and she goes, "What the fuck are you doing here?" I'm like, I'm supposed to be at work today. You don't fucking work here anymore. Get your shit and get the fuck out of here. And I'm like, whoa, man. See, I don't know what gang stalking is, but I'm like, this shit is happening again. Then I go home. And I just sit in my one room officially apartment and I brood. And I'm sitting there going, oh, you suck, Doug. You need to kill yourself. You're not worth anything. All this keeps happening to you because you're a sorry person. That's why it's happening to you. Inevitably, all of this is happening because you're not a good person. If you're a good person, the universe would think you're a good person. And things would happen your way. So I said, you know what? You're fucking right, man. So I went and I grabbed a bottle of pills. And I got like 7 or 8 Vicodin. And I threw them back, expecting to die. And I knew I was going to die. I would just go to sleep and I wouldn't wake up. My respiratory rate would just drop to 0 and I would die. But it didn't happen. And when it didn't happen, then they started the voice of the skull, the go to where the children are. I mean, I heard some of the most bizarre, crazy, stupid things from people that are very, very sick. I don't know if they're even still alive, but you have to be a reprobate to do this to another human being. Because I can tell you this, there's a lot of people I've met in this life that I don't like, that I wouldn't have anything to do with, but I guarantee you, I wouldn't do this to them because this is evil. It's malevolent. And if anybody does anything along these same lines, and you think you're a Christian or you think you know God, you're not. You're absolutely not.
Yeah, there's nothing that you can
I
say
can't.
to yourself that excuses this type of behavior
my
toward
life,
another person.
I just couldn't imagine what it would be like. But these people can go to sleep every night after destroying somebody's life, going, "Hey, when I die, God's going to accept me, and I'm a good person." No, absolutely not.
Well, when you were really to heavily being gang stalked and attacked, what
I was
shielding
over.
or protection methods did you use for the gang stalking and such?
What did I do? What now?
What did you have any steps or actions that you took to help mitigate the gang stalking or protect your home and your property?
From 2004 until 2010, I didn't know what this was. When I found out in 2010, I done a deep dive, and my main thing was, who created this program? Who created this form of harassment? That's what I wanted to know. And then once I understood what was going on, it took a couple of campaigns for me to go through to learn a methodology on how I best deal with it. And what I learned is, don't engage them. If I'm walking into Walmart right now and I see 2 or 3 perpetrators at the door, and I see perpetrators in the parking lot, they will completely mob the entire place. I will go, I'm not going in there. I'm going to go somewhere else. And what that does is it forces the program to have people everywhere, which costs a lot of money. And
Mm-hmm.
that's do. I just go, I'm not going to go in there. Or if let's say I go to get a prescription and somebody walks up to me and they start talking, I'll just turn around and I'll walk out. I won't say anything to them. Or if I'm buying a loaf of bread and somebody comes up and they start trying to mob me, I just leave the bread alone and I walk off and I don't acknowledge them. I don't look at them. I don't go like this and I don't go, dude, you don't know. I could knock those teeth right down your throat. It'd be no problem for me to do it. I could whoop your ass right here. I don't do that. I don't do it. I go, if this is what they want to do, if they want to play their game, I'll play my game. But I'm not going to play their game. I'm going to play my game. And my game says, do not interact with them. And if they start mouthing off or doing anything, I have something on me at all time, either record audio or video or both. And it's really easy, especially nowadays, to do that. And I've had people come up to me and say the most bizarre things, and I just record it. And the program thinks, yeah, we're giving you a hard time. I'm like, nah, you're just saving up. You're just helping me out a lot. So keep it coming, cowboy. Keep it coming. And I don't sit there and I don't get my pennies in a wad. I don't get pissed off. Maybe I get a little pissed off, but when I walk away, I laugh to myself. A little snickers, like they don't know what they're doing. They're idiots. And the people they send after me, they don't know what they're doing either. They're idiots. The people that they send a lot of times, not every time, and to harass you, get hired as what is known as a role surveillance player. And you can go to glassdoor.com, a lot of different job sites, and look up role surveillance player. And they will hire you under the assumption that, you think, well, I'm going to be an actor. That's basically what they're hiring me for. And that's what they'll tell you. Yeah, you're going to be an actor. And so they will give you a limited amount of information about me. And they may give you some props. They may give you a different color shirt to wear. They may even lease a car for you to show up at a certain place at a certain time and to say a certain thing or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I cannot tell you how many times, well, my phone is right there. I cannot tell you how many times that I've had an interaction. Let's say this is my phone. I've had an interaction and I'm going to be a TI, not a TI, but a perp. And how many times I've seen people look at me and then look and do this, double takes. Why? They're making sure that mug that they got on their camera is me. I'm like, is that him? He's wearing a different shirt. Oh, it is him. And then it will have text on there for them to read. And that text will be like, now, what do you call it? Dang, I temporarily lost my train of thought. It would be like, what actors read, the script. That's it. They'll have a script and they'll read it and they'll say it in front of you. And if they're really good, they're really good. But if they're not, I just look at them and go, that's funny. And I walk off. And what they're trying to do is say something to you to provoke a response from you. And if there's no response, then what good was it to send this person there to you? Because I guarantee you, every time they send somebody to a TI, they already pretty much have it expected outcome. Like, we're going to send this perp to Doug, and this perp's going to say something, and Doug's going to bow up, go, you don't know, I'll kick your ass. And then the perp says something, and then I walk off. I don't say anything. It blows the whole mission for them because they go in with an expected. And if you don't give them that, it just ruins the whole show for them. It ruins everything. So it's like this, there's somebody who has, some knowledge of, if not a lot, some knowledge of psychology. Let's say this is being, this part of the program is being done by CIA people, personnel, and it's somebody who's, a behavioral psychologist. And this person's got a PhD in it. And they watched video on Doug. They heard about Doug. They've got reports on Doug. This guy is sitting there. Well, what kind of interaction between a perpetrator and Doug can I have to make Doug act a certain way that I anticipate that he's going to act. And so they will create a scenario, and they'll get one of these dicky doodads that don't know anything, that get hired for $15 an hour and told that, this is some role surveillance playing game, and the guy that you're going to be acting out in front of is just like you, but he takes his role very, very seriously. So if you say something, he gets mad, don't get afraid. He's not going to hurt you. And what they don't know is that I don't know them from Dicky Doodah, and I might put my foot in his ass. But then again, I might not. But if they were to tell people that you are going to gang stalk this person and you're going to piss them off, and this person is angry as you know what, you might go home in a body bag tonight. Nobody would do this on their behalf. So they have to lie to them and tell them that me is just like them. I am a role surveillance player, and this is a game, and we're acting things out in public to get ready for a scenario if, there was somebody in the community who shouldn't be in the community, and therefore we could react. And this is what DHS does a lot. And I can tell you, when I was a nurse, right after 9/11, we had, I shouldn't say we had, what happened was George Bush approved of these bioterrorism, what am I trying to say? Bioterrorism groups in each county or every other county, to where a county would oversee their area and another area.
Like the fusion centers? The fusion centers?
People like me that were nurses, and they would have us study bioterrorism, anthrax, ricin, and all these other things. And then we would go, to a local hospital, and then we would, have a little role-playing game to where ricin was being released. And so we had to go pick up a person that supposedly exposed ricin. And that's basically what they're doing here. It's a role surveillance playing game. But the people are being lied to about it. At least what I did in 2002 or 3, which was a bioterrorism, anti-bioterrorism deal for the county that I lived in, that had some real value, merit. But what they're doing, there's no value, there's no merit. They're taking government earmarked money. They're either stealing it from the treasury, or they're engaging in pedophilia, sex trafficking minors to get their money to be able to funnel it back into this program, so they can do things like pay that role surveillance player $15 an hour to interact with me. And that's basically what's going on.
That is, I mean, that's so true. So do you have any other tips that you could give somebody who's really in the daily throes of being
and I have said this, I was a member of like 100 Facebook groups, and I had to bail out because each and every group was just overrun by people like, I can help you get out of the program, I can stop the technology. It was just scammers. But what I would tell people is that if anybody tries to engage you, disengage. Don't have anything to do with them. Don't sit there and bow your chest up and like, I can whoop your ass or I'll shoot you. Because what happened to Matthew Choi, story I didn't finish, is Matthew left New Zealand. He went to China, and he hopped a cab or got into a taxi, and he perceived that the guy who was driving the cab was mouthing off to him, and the guy in the cab was not mouthing off to him. This was just a regular Chinese citizen who had a family at home. And somehow or another, I don't know how the technology works, but they were able to, it was either they were able to make the technology work on the cab driver to where the cab driver said something to Matthew, which annoyed Matthew, or Matthew had been awake for hours and hours and hours, kind of like who were those two black guys? Myron May and Aaron Alexis. Myron May, he made the wrong decision. So did Aaron. But what I think, either the technology affected the driver and the driver said something to Matthew and the driver was unaware of what he was saying and to whom he was saying it to, or Matthew had been awake for hours and hours and hours and he was becoming delusional and psychotic from not sleeping. And could have then said, well, this guy in the front seat's mouthing off to me. What Matthew did was he took a knife and just look up Matthew Choi, took a knife and he slit the guy's throat. This guy had a family. And this program right here, do you think that bothers anybody in the program that Matthew Choi slit somebody's throat? No. Aaron Alexis, I think somebody died as a result of that. It doesn't bother them. It's to them, it's all in a day's work. These people are reprobates. They are very, very, very sick. Very, very sick. Like, very sick. And I heard something the other night. And let me see if I can tie this in here. I was watching a podcast, and I didn't watch the whole thing, but they said that the people they brought to America from Germany, these people were sick. Mengele and all these other people, they had been, they had murdered innocent children who had Down syndrome. They experimented on them. But if they didn't kill these people and get rid of them, these.
Looks like Doug got cut off. Like his connection may have dropped. I know in some spots it was kind of choppy, so it could be the cell connection. We'll give him a moment or so to join back if he's able to, and I'm going to go to some of the comments. Here's a good one here. Sybil says, don't give them the power. Absolutely. When you do that, when you extend that energetic handshake over to somebody that is trying to inspire a reaction out of you, then you're doing the dance, and it's hard to get back out. So it's hard to sometimes, you're tired and you've been harassed so long, but always like Doug mentioned, don't engage with it. How they make money, how they deem the success or get a bonus is out of getting a reaction out of you. So when these people start mobbing you to get a reaction to you, just disengage and walk away, because their mission has failed when you do that. WJ says they're scared the truth is getting out. Yeah, this isn't the time, for somebody to be doing this kind of harassment to somebody and participating in it. And what I always say too is these people are led in by a carrot dangle at the nose, and they take a bite off of it. But what they've done when they take that bite and they agree to do some harm to someone else, whether under a guise and a lie or such, but they still made the free will choice to do so, then they become a liability. They're part of a crime. And these handlers, they don't understand how expendable they are. There's no honor amongst thieves. So when they think that, the time comes that they may need their back scratched, then they're probably going to be, dealing with thin air. And then, they're setting themselves up to be the ultimate fall guy in this participation. And they'll label them as being extremists or a part of secret societies, and then just lump them up with a nice bow and have them take the heat for the crimes that they have committed. So, God is moving in his own wondrous ways, and it's very hard for us to understand and why we're in the thick of it, right? But there's a big plan, and it's coming to fruition in the exposure of these dark programs and all of the little stage actors that were involved with it. All right, let me take a look. All right. So what do you think will targeted individual says, so what do you think will change immediately since targeted justice just made a big newspaper? Well, the thing of it is, we got to keep our fire burning. We need to get more publicity. I think it is a door that is opened up for more publicity on this subject. Once other, hungry journalists, investigative journalists, some that are political journalists and such, get wind of the publication, and so they may want to piggyback off of that for their, for their own career as well. And they may take heart to what the content said within the article as well, and understanding, okay, how does that impact me and how does that impact my families? Or they might read the article or another journalist or media and have some reference point that relates to maybe that happened to one of my family members or someone that I know. So again, we're seeding the light. We're taking little capsules of light, and we made big progress by getting this publication, and it's a prime time to have such a publication come out and to be visible, because there is so much that has been exposed in the last couple of months, and there's more so coming forward. Having a publication of that nature is also forcing accountability by the government entities in some regard, because if it continues to come out one over and over again, you have a whole community of people saying that this is being done to them, yet nobody has heard their cries. So now there's a fork in the road. What are they going to do to resolve this, and how are they going to do it diplomatically so they come out unscathed from it? Because that's the reality, right? Doing damage control. But it is so big right now that you cannot run away from this anymore. There's too many people that are reporting the same symptoms, the same tactics, the gang stalking, the auditory effect, the AHIs, the anomalous health incidents, the symptoms of Havana syndrome. All of this is going on. We are bringing it forward, and we are pushing it into the light. Let me see. Let me take one more here. There's been so many good comments. Yes, and remember this, Cradle of Life. Let me bring up yours. They have to harass us 24/7 to keep us in the fight or flight mode. That's right. And I'm telling you, pattern recognition is your friend. I used to be able to clock these perps, and they run on time intervals. They're not really that smart, and I mentally was making the note of when they tried what, and it's really not that smart. And like I said, all the different little tactics of what they try with the peanut gallery of the auditory effect and stuff. And it really is tired. And I'm like, how can you participate in something that is so tired? I mean, it's like a one-trick pony. The same regurgitated filth over and over and over again. And only a fool does the same thing over and over again, thinking you're going to get a different reaction. And they are a sea of fools. So just know that you are smarter. You are so much more than what is these people that participate and do this to you. And I want you to take and hold of your life and believe in yourself again. Do not give these people the satisfaction of stealing one more moment of your life. Disengage, get your mental shielding and physical shielding, try different things and go after your life and want it with such ferociousness, because we are on the brink of grand mass exposure of this. We have made such an impact by having this, everyone out there fanning the flames of truth over these atrocities that are being done to us. We are not going to sit in the corner any longer. We are running wild with the information. We are going to reclaim our power, and we are backed by God and the light in the universe to make a path for us. But we have to take action ourselves. We can't sit down anymore. We got to stand up and fight for ourselves. No, we are our own. You got to tap into that inner hero, and you got to tap into, co-creating with the higher power, God. You've got to get back in the skin of the game. And if you could focus each day on one win, and I know sometimes what is being done to you is so debilitating, but get yourself up out of the bed, do a load of laundry, clean up the kitchen, go fix yourself a meal, tap into what did you love to do as a child? Get back in connection with your inner child. Be playful, go outside, throw a ball around, play some music, do some artwork, get the creative juices flowing back. Get back to, what that inner child that you just loved, that you got to honor your inner child. Don't let them rob you of your innocence and your heart and what makes you who you are. You're so special that these criminals and these vultures are circulating over you because you spark something within them that they cannot resonate with, which is the light. And you are the light, and you're under heavy attack. And because of your light, because of your innocence, because of your purity and your will, your strong will that you hadn't sunk gum and you hadn't let go and you hadn't fell down, even though they've thrown the rocks at you, they've set you up, they've character assassinated. You don't have to be impress one other person. You know who you are, and God knows who you are, and this community knows who you are, and this community sees you. So never relent. You keep carrying that torch, and you keep coming out swinging against this, because I'm telling you, these people are on notice with the hand and the wrath of God. All God asks for you to do is just don't give up. Don't lay down in inaction. Reclaim yourself and reclaim your power. It doesn't look like Doug's going to rejoin us, but I wanted to make sure that everybody know Doug has a lot of videos out there about gang stalking. He has seen it every single upside down and around. He's got it down. And he is on YouTube in his videos. And you can search for That Gangstalking Show. I've got the URL up there. Doug cuts it straight when it comes to this gang stalking mess. And again, he's reminding you, don't take that, just disengage. When you don't give them the power by reaction or being triggered by what they're trying to do, because they're trying to set you up for a trap for you to fall in. They're trying to take away the covering off of a hole so you fall down it. Don't take the bait, community. Don't take it. And I have Doug's Cash App up there. He's really trying to get his nursing reinstated. If anyone feels glad to donate, it's up there. And again, I love each and every one of you. You are so bright and so special. I pray for victory over every single one of you in God's hand of protection. We've got this community. We have to understand we had a major win yesterday with the Gateway Pundit publishing that article. You know, that this is affording the chance for the general public to come to awareness that these things line up. And here we are fanning those flames, and they might resonate with, oh my goodness, this is what some of these people have been talking about. Well, how's that going to impact me? So again, waves of awareness. You know, don't forget to love yourself. You have mastered and, you know, been at it, and you are not defeated by the most sophisticated technology trying to consume you. And all of the street theater and the gang stalking and the directed energy and the auditory effect. Just know everything that they're throwing at you is a lie and a deception. You know the truth. God knows the truth, and this community does as well. I love each and every single one of you. And again, thank you for joining me this Sunday, and tune in again next week. God bless you all. You are a miracle walking. We're not going to be overcome by the darkness and the evil. Glory be to God and all that is light in the universe. Amen. I love you.